All right, welcome everybody to our Heritage Advisory Committee meeting on December 1st. This meeting is called to order at 1 p.m. Please note the meeting is video and audio recorded and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting by electronic means, you are consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. I will now read the township's land acknowledgement statement. The lands we know today as the township of Puslinch have been home to indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Hatawandaronk, as well as the treaty lands and traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. With increasing encroachment by indigenous settlers in the township of Puslinch, the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee could not continue their traditional lifestyle and settled in their villages along the Credit River and in the Grand River Valley. These indigenous nations uphold their treaty rights within our jurisdiction. Today, the township of Puslinch remains home to indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We are grateful to have the opportunity to share and respect Mother Earth and are committed to building constructive and cooperative relationships with indigenous nations. Welcome, Cheryl and Christine. You have impeccable timing because I'm just going to start the roll call. Item number 2, I'll now do a roll call for those in attendance. I'll go from my far right. We'll start there. So Ray, present. Cheryl, present. Andy, present. Lily, present. Christine.
By the skin of my teeth, I'm here.
You did it. No, let the minutes will show your attendance. Myself, Russell, and staff. We've got Laura. All right, welcome everybody. Item number 3 is a brief moment of reflection. Okay, item number 4 on our agenda today is the confirmation of the agenda. It had been previously circulated by staff and posted. Are there any amendments anybody would like to make to the agenda that had been circulated? Okay, hearing none.
The Heritage Advisory Committee approves the December 1st agenda as circulated.
We have a mover, Lily, seconder, Cheryl. Beat you to the punch, Andy. All in support? Carried. All right. Item number 5 is a disclosure of any conflict of interest. Do any committee members have any conflicts of interest based in the agenda that had been circulated that you would like to flag? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Next item is item number 6 is we do have a delegation. Certainly from a personal standpoint, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. I know it was a request that came out of a meeting earlier this year. So Hugh, I'll just introduce you briefly and then we'll turn it over to you. So we'd just like to introduce Hugh Fraser from the Ontario Barn Preservation Group. He'll be joining us virtually, as you can see for those of you online and in the room on the screens. And he'll provide us with a presentation on barn preservation in Ontario. There are a number of slides with Hugh's presentation, so they will be part of the meeting agenda and in the on the screen for everybody to see. So with that, Hugh, over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for having me here today. I think you've all seen my PowerPoint presentation, so I'll kind of buzz through it a little bit just to highlight a few things. It's only 9 slides, but I always try to tell people ahead of time how many slides I have so that they start getting bored. They know it's coming to an end quickly. So there's more than one way to save old barns. And so I'm an old barn. I don't know if I'd call myself an expert, but I'm an old barn aficionado. Originally raised on a dairy farm in southwestern Quebec, actually. So I've been in Ontario for most of my life. But I'm president of Ontario Barn Preservation. Next slide, please. So who are we? So we're a nonprofit, And really our purpose is to try to save old barns in any way that we possibly can. We've only been in formation for 6 years, just before the pandemic, and interestingly enough, we've always met virtually on Zoom, so Zoom is no big deal for me now. Um, and I haven't even met everybody on our board yet after 6 years, believe it or not, because we just live so far away from each other. We only have 90 members across Ontario, but membership really isn't our bailiwick. It's not something that we're trying to get, 9,000 members sort of thing. And OBP defines old as built before the census of 1961. So I guess full disclosure here, that makes me old. Next slide, please. Okay, so why save old barns? So there's several different reasons. It's not just because they're pretty. There is economic potential. Every single barn actually has potential for on-farm markets, agritainment, dwellings, offices, you name it. And then there's a lot of tourist attractions with barns. People are looking for event spaces for weddings, parties, birthdays, that kind of thing. And you don't realize that a barn is gone until it isn't there. People drive by that old red barn on the corner, and then it disappears one day, and they can't understand what's missing, and it's the old barn. And so historic barns are actually the oldest and largest surviving buildings in rural Ontario. Back when they were built, a lot of these barns, they would have been the largest buildings anywhere in the municipalities, including Puslinch Township. It's the environmentally sustainable thing to do. You can reuse these things, you can recycle their parts, and every single barn has a story. And I can tell you that I know that for a fact. I write books about old barns, and every single one of them has a different story. Next slide, please. So we've lost a lot of barns. The only census that I'm aware of that actually recorded barns was the 1891 census. And it said that Ontario had 441,885 barns and stables. And they didn't define what those were, so it probably included a lot of things. It probably included carriage houses where people, kept their carriage to drive to a church on Sundays. There were a lot of stables in municipalities. I mean, Guelph has all kinds of them in downtown Guelph. But we are not really sure how many barns we've actually lost. We think maybe 80 to 90%, but we really don't know. And we're actually on a mission right now to try to figure some of that out based on old aerial photos and looking at really rural areas, really urbanized areas, and everything in between. Now, this particular slide shows the Milton area, or at least east of Milton, around the 407 and the 401. I was actually searching for a farmer. Some of you may follow farmer Tim May from Rockwood on Facebook. He has 138,000 followers. And I searched for his father's barn, and his father's barn is now was in Meadowdale. It's been gone for about 50 years. You can just look at that photo and understand we've lost a lot of barns, and they're still coming down rapidly, faster than anybody realizes. Next slide, please. So we are creating, and it's almost done, a guideline to saving barns in Ontario. So it's a 2026 document. We hope to have it out in the early new year on the several options that municipalities have to consider. It's got a lot of detail in it. I can't tell you everything that's in it, but we talk about ways that you can save barns both physically and digitally. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit. And that's in whole and in part. And every single situation, every single barn is uniquely different. So these are the different ways that we tell people that you can save your barns. So that through preservation, designation, conversion, reuse, digital saving for future barn lovers, historians, and researchers. And I'll talk about each one of those in a second here. Next slide, please. So preservation is, of course, the preferred saving option, and that means keeping it in place. But repairs can be expensive, and it may not be an option for everybody. So we realize that not every old barn can be saved, nor should they be all saved. Conversion usually adds value to the barns and makes them more likely to pay their way to preservation. So when a barn's value is perceived to be increased, there's more likelihood that the owner is going to try to keep it. And so I've seen lots of barns turned into offices, homes, markets, value-added agribusinesses. It's amazing what's out there. Reuse means valuable structural components and wood materials are reclaimed and recycled. They could be all or in part. They could be turned into furniture. They could be turned into all kinds of things. Next slide, please. And then digital saving is an option that we've come up with. Lots of jurisdictions have tried to create databases on old barns down in the States and other places, but nobody's been bold enough or stupid enough, I suppose, maybe that's the right term, but bold enough to try to do it digitally. And so it's an option for every single barn, even the ones that are going to stay remaining, from ones in bad shape to ones in perfect shape. So we actually have an initiative. We call it the Your Old Barn Study, or YOBS for short. And we show owners, and it's on our website. You can go on our website and take a look at it. It shows owners how to enter data about their own barns in a secure database housed by the University of Guelph. We've partnered with them for the last 5 years to save their barns in the virtual world for future historians, researchers, and barn lovers. And it's a legacy project to honor the past. And so we show people how to measure their barns, how to take the right kinds of photos so that people who are researching can actually see what that barn used to look like. So we tell them how to take an end view, a side view, an isometric view. We tell them for what things they might find in their barn, and we have check-off lists where they can say, yes, it had some markings on the end of the barn, or yes, it had stanchions in that barn when they used to milk cows, and things like that. So we're very excited about it. We now have over 200 barns in that database. We'd like to have 2,000 barns, but we expect it's going to multiply quickly. I'm doing a little bit of a marketing campaign through farmer Tim May, who's a dairy farmer near Rockwood. And he's going to be posting some things in the new year about this. And we're actually scared to death, actually, of what kind of response we might get because of all the followers he has. If we only get 1% of his followers respond to this, that's 1,380 people. And we're actually not quite sure how we're going to handle all that, but we're going to jump in and see what happens. Now, I took this picture that's in the bottom of this slide here of the last dairy barn in Toronto. And so it was right at Eglinton, Confederation Parkway, 403 and Mavis Road. The day after I took that picture, the bulldozers came in, and it now is a 6-lane highway right through his place. Next slide, please. And then designation is, of course, an option, but it's controversial. Barn owners don't like designation for the most part. Most barn owners are farmers. Farmers are a very particular group. They do not like designation, or at least most of them don't. They're very independent. They don't like restrictions of what they can or can't do on their own farms. But we think that it's still a good option. And if there's people who want to do it, we will actually help them. And I've actually helped a barn owner up in King City to help designate his barn, and I've put together the case for it. We are neutral on designation as a group, Some of our members think we should be pushing for it. Others say no, but we've decided as a group to be neutral, advocating for informed case-by-case decisions, but never, never, never against the will of a barn owner. But we will help people designate their barns. And that picture down the bottom is actually my home farmstead in southwestern Quebec, right on the St. Lawrence River. Next slide, please. And then there's provincial and municipal policies, which have tremendous influence on the saving of old barns. There's a provincial policy statement. There's surplus dwelling farm severances, zoning issues, agritourism, taxes and assessments, the minimum distance separation formula, building codes. And then the last thing I wanted to point out here was I just learned last week, actually, about a proposed rain tax that some municipalities will be implementing. This is over in the Hamilton area. And so it's a proposed stormwater management fee on impervious surfaces like barn roofs. And I predict that if that initiative comes in, lots of farmers are going to throw in the towel and say, forget it, I'm out of here. I'm ripping that thing down. I'm not paying $50 to the municipality. I don't care how much it costs me to take that barn down. They're so angry about it. And so I don't know if that's something that Push Lynch is considering. I hope not. But if you are, there has to be some kind of a minimum size of facility where you don't pay any taxes. I suspect this rain tax this is an unintended consequence, I believe, of this plan, because I think it's more targeted at large-scale greenhouses, big parking areas, things like that. But I could be wrong. So I think that's the last slide I have. Yes, it is. Yeah. So if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Yeah, thanks for that, Hugh. That was really good. Yeah, very, very thorough. I'll just open it up to members of the committee for any questions you have of Hugh. A great resource here in front of you to ask any questions that you'd like.
I'm interested, Hugh. Hi. I don't know if you can see me. Can you see us individually over here? Oh, hi.
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 I can see your smiling face, Christine.
Well, I'm at Creek Hills, and so you know our barn. You will be happy to know that we're working hard to preserve it and are using it. But I'm wondering, we've talked a little bit about the designation process and how barns don't come up. They don't get, like, we look at houses, and often, as in our case, there's a barn on the property. What are other municipalities doing when it comes to the designation process? Are they also ignoring barns, or are they flagged somehow? What's your experience?
So my experience is not great on this topic. There's not a lot of barns that have been designated. I would agree with you. I think it's usually the home, the dwelling, and the barn is kind of like a dangling participle. It just comes along for the ride. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't be designated all by itself. And in fact, that's what this owner up in King City wants. He wants his barn to last indefinitely, and it was built in the 1840s. It's a beautiful barn. It's also a swing beam barn, just like yours over at Crieff. And it's a beautiful barn, and there's lots of redeeming features to it that are very interesting. In fact, there are 9 different areas that you have to prove under the Heritage Act that something should be saved. And I believe, and the local historical person that works for the King City believes that there's about a half a dozen different things on this barn. And in fact, he actually thought there were more than I thought. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Other questions for Hugh? Yeah, Rick, go ahead.
Does the municipality now tax your property tax on your barn?
I believe so. I believe there's some kind of a tax on it, yes. And not wouldn't be very much.
Okay, so yeah, there would be a building tax, but I think that would be like any building on a property, that would be part of the municipal assessment. I don't believe we would have what Hugh referred to as a rain tax, just because we don't have municipal water services in the township. Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm just wondering about. You buy a property, you've got this old barn there. And you're thinking, well. That's costing me money.
Yep.
If I'm being taxed on it, I don't need the barn. I don't use it. So then you tear it down. Or possibly. I'm just curious about whether there's anything, or conversely, is there any incentive again to help that barn owner by giving some kind of financial benefit?
Yeah, I
Well,
think we could
yeah,
go ahead.
we'd
You
lo-
you
we'd-
have a lot of
we'd-
experience in this.
Well, we'd love to see some financial incentives or at least take away the disbenefits, the disincentives. And so but there's lots of reasons why farmers themselves are taking down barn. MDS is one of the reasons. That is a big reason, and so they'll take it down. Also, the land is worth so much money underneath that everybody wants to scrape up another half an acre of land, and so barns disappear. They seem to disappear on Sunday mornings and Sunday evenings for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but they disappear from neglect. It's not that they rip it down; it just don't do anything with it, and it's pretty hard to stop that. Yeah, and then for insurance reasons, insurance companies, they're not anxious to insure these things anymore, and that's a shame. Because you couldn't possibly replace these things to the extent that they, would cost you hundreds of thousands to replace even a very small barn.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm wondering, Hugh, if there's anything that you would like, any action that you would like us to take. I'm wondering, is it promoting the barn registration that you would like to see? Are there other things that we could be doing proactively? Because our barns are not in our designation process right now. So are there other things that we could be doing in the township to kind of support this movement?
Yes, so your old barn study is something that we would love to have people put their barns on the registry. Part of the issue is that not everybody's comfortable going on the old laptop or the old computer to start doing things because they think they're going to get in trouble or somebody's going to start scamming them and stuff like that. They don't have to worry about that. That's not an issue. It's a very easy process. We encourage people to take a look at it as long as they don't hit the enter button that sticks their barn into the database before they're done. You can go in there and look at it as many times as you want. But I would encourage everybody on this committee, go in and take a look at it and just see, wow, it's not that hard at all to do it. In fact, you could do it yourself. I'd love to have your barn on our registry, Christine. It'd be great. And I could even help you do it.
Well, I appreciate that. I've already sent an email to our farm manager.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Yes, are there other things? So if people on this committee know or they know of people in the community who just know everything there is to know about old barns, we need them as members or we need them to tell us, I know there's a barn down on the fourth concession that's, it's a special barn. We actually want to go and hunt down those really special barns that we really need to get into our database and understand about things that are significant, barns that are completely different style or ones that are super old or ones that are were built by an ethnic group that is kind of different than everything else. We're looking for those special barns, and there's quite a few of them out there, believe it or not.
Any other questions from the committee? Yeah.
I don't actually have a question, but I would say that we have had some barns in our designations that have been listed. So I know there was some in Arkle that were on, I think there was 2 or 3 on the designations I did that included the barn.
So do we include them on that appendix, like on those features?
Yes.
Ah, okay, that's why I'm not noticing them.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, Portslands would have some stone barns, I think. I don't know. And stone barns are just about gone everywhere. If you have some good examples of good stone barns, wow, we'd like to visit them.
Have we got a deal for you? Any other questions from committee members? We do have a couple people in our gallery here that I wanted to afford them the opportunity because I think they came specifically to hear this
Okay.
presentation. But anything else from committee members at all? Okay, from our gallery, I'm not sure if the camera's gonna hit you, but just fire away and just speak up loud, please.
Marilyn Crowell, founding member of Heritage in Portsmouth, 30-year member, so I'm retired, I'm getting older. But in the year 2000, we had a plaquing program. This preceded today's requirements. And on that list, if you look at the list that we did, the barns are included that were in good shape. And then in 2009, we created an index, the Agricultural Heritage of Portsmouth. And it includes barns, silos. Sure.
Christine, do you wanna hold that up again?
But remember, in that 1986, when I joined, we didn't do it digitally, but the township has the binder with all the original pictures of this. So one of the things this committee could do is to digitize the barns that are worth saving.
I think I need to say something for the camera to look at me again, right?
There you
Yes,
go.
it'll pick up
Put it in my face.
it'll pick up voices.
So it's a book.
A
Perfect.
binder.
Yeah,
Is it?
lovely.
That's exactly, that could certainly be digitized, or at least the photos for sure. I'm not sure if all the write-up and everything, but all that stuff could be transferred into our database. For sure, for sure.
There's one stone barn in Portsmouth in Arkle.
At Arkle, okay. Yeah. I may have seen it before. Is it right in the village?
Yeah, the northeast corner of the township, the Orm farm originally on all the 1860s and 70s maps. And they use it, well, part has been a bed and breakfast there, but it's in good shape still.
Excellent. So I went to the University of Guelph, so I know that area very well. So I'd love to see it. But you know, we never drive up and down the people's driveways and just say, "Hey, you got a nice barn." Getting invited would be perfect, and I'd be overwhelmed happy to go and take a look at it. I'm only in St. Catharines, and I could go up to Guelph and take a look at it.
Well, what we did when we were going to approach a property was we sent a letter ahead, the township sent a letter ahead giving us permission. So the landowners, I think we only had one in the whole township that said, no, you're not coming on our land. And everyone else cooperated, and they're very proud of their stone houses and their beautiful barns and so on. So there may be more, but this is what we did in 2009.
Fantastic. Thank you for doing that on behalf of barn lovers everywhere.
Just as far as stone barns, did we not have one that became part of Guelph? Ew. Or no? Just, I thought that we had one that when the annexing took place for Guelph so Guelph has at least one of the post-lunch barns on its land. Okay, so there is another barn, stone barn.
Good.
Thank you for sharing that. That was fantastic. Hopefully it made Hugh's day. So maybe I just had a couple questions before we wrap this up with some action items, Hugh. One would be just in terms of your membership, are these individuals that are members? Are these municipalities that are members, not-for-profits, local historical societies? Can you just maybe share that a bit?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure we have any associations that are members. There's no reason why you couldn't be. I mean, we would encourage it for sure. Yeah, I mean, membership is like, I think $35 a year or something. It's really not that much. We have a newsletter. We have online presentations for things. And if you ever go on our website, there's just tons of information on there. Blogs, we have about I don't know, 125 blogs on everything to do with barns that you were afraid to ask. And pictures everywhere on that thing and FAQs and everything else to figure out how to fix your barn up.
Yeah, one more, go ahead.
Is it, hello, you can't see me, but that's all right. My name's Mary Tybee and I succeeded Lynn as chair of the Bristol Heritage Committee, and my experience with barns is such that barns, certainly in other jurisdictions where I've been on a heritage committee, barns are the sacrificial lambs for development. And so if you drive down Clare Road West or Clare Road East, and you'll
Yep.
see stone house that belonged to Clare. And the barn is gone, and the barn was part of the demand made by the developers to conserve the house. And so I see this when I served on Guelph happening again and again. And the times that the barns were saved were when the property itself was identified as having a cultural heritage landscape. So that conserved the barn and some of the other outbuildings. And that seemed to be the most propitious way to get this done. I would also say that in terms of stone barns, this part of the province, specifically North Puslinch Township and South Wellington County, has a number of stone barns, and it would be interesting to see an inventory specifically of those because they contain the same design elements. I think there are some over in Halton, a few over in Halton, but it might be a wonderful idea for a summer student to do digital recordings of these barns. And in my experience on this committee, I used to sort of hum Heartbreak Hotel to myself when I go into these barns, because neither the owners had the ability financially to conserve them, or really had the need to continue to operate them. And one last thing, the stone barn that's in Arkle was part of a Scottish style barnyard with a barn and a stable, and then the barn was for grain, and then another piece of the arm that was for housing pigs. And that owner contacted me desperate to try and figure out financial opportunities to conserve that. And I frankly couldn't really come up with anything from the municipality or even from the province. And subsequently it was torn down, it was demolished. And that's such a significant landscape that we've lost part of. But if a student could go out there and I have the dimensions of that original part, yeah.
Well, you can actually recreate. So I put Farmer Tim's father's barn from Milton that's been down for 50 years. I put it on our database after figuring out what it looked like, what the dimensions were. And this was all through aerial photos and a couple of small photos that Tim had from his dad's box of treasures. And we've put it on Yobs. And so you can recreate a barn after it's gone. It's a ghost barn, but you can recreate it after the fact. It's not the preferred way, but it will work.
Look at publication Barns in Canada. That Arkle barnyard is there complete. So yeah, there's visual records of it.
Good.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Hugh, one more question, and I think we have some action items here. Do you have a rough timeline? You referenced the guidelines that you guys are working on that are to be determined, published in 2026 around you know, guidelines if you will to enable barn preservation via designation, amongst other things. Do you have a rough idea of when you anticipate that report being published? And secondly, any ideas you can share with us around how it will be distributed to communities so that they're aware of this tool?
Right. So the first question is when. And so the chair of that committee told me they hope to have it done by March, but I'll be optimistic and say by June because things always take longer than they should or you think they're going to take. We want it right. We don't want it fast. We want it right. But I've seen the draft of it, and it's super, and there's some good people working on it. The second question was how is it going to get distributed? And I believe it's going to get sent to every municipality in Ontario, and I think we have a list like that, and it's a pretty lengthy list, of course, as you know, but we want to send it to the lower tier municipalities because they're the ones that are going to make things happen, we think.
Wonderful. Well, sample size of one municipality here. Very much looking forward to when that's released because I think it provides a great deal of guidance and support to individuals and organizations that are looking to navigate this. And I think as you're probably well aware, like it's like where do you start and where do you stop? You know, give us some guideposts. You know, where's our North Star and going through this process. And I sincerely hope that supporting document would be well. I guarantee you it'll be well received from my perspective.
I just want to say one final thing about the developers. We think our best option is to actually, partner with some of these developers and get them on site about what treasures they have. I'm not sure they're all boogeymen out there. I think we need to just show them when people realize what they actually have, they can turn some of these barns, not all of them, but some of them into beautiful municipal treasures that they could actually have on their subdivisions and things. So we'd like to engage with them. So any chance you can have, I would love to talk to some of the people that are working in your municipality.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to have you join us. We have your contact info, the association's information. I'd say maybe a couple action items coming out of this to try to keep things rolling here. But I think the first one you'd mentioned some promotion of getting old barns as part of your registry. I think that's something we can certainly, within the committee level, we'll maybe discuss avenues of how best to do that. Not right now, but certainly we'll commit to doing that because I think it's important that we push that out to our community through our various, I'm just thinking that the historical society amongst others to showcase this opportunity. The second, from my standpoint, I referenced the guidelines that are yet to be published, but my recommendation of staff on this one is at the appropriate time when we get our hands on that to maybe have staff look at how we can incorporate some of those guidelines into our township designation process. I think we've bantied around barns and we haven't done one specifically, but we've got some properties that certainly have wonderful heritage barns on them. So I think it's more just we need to navigate that, but I think maybe guidance from this committee into the future, whenever that document is published, that then we can react to it and request staff examine putting that in. So that's maybe probably a 26, 27 goal. And I think the last one, and thank you for Mary. Great minds think alike, because I had this down on my list and you mentioned it as well in your comments, but I would love to see a job task. We have a summer student that joins the municipality each year. I would love to see one of their tasks is to digitize this document so that it can be preserved. And my only request maybe would be that some time and effort be provided to that, or guidance to that student as to how best to do that type of thing. Cause I'm just picturing, you know, a young person coming in, maybe needs some guardrails as to how to do that in a, so that the information's useful in the future. But I'll maybe leave that with you, Laura, to kind of navigate how one goes about doing that. But I think the intent, I think, is that I see great value in that. I'd like to see that happen probably in the summer of 26.
And we could
That
help
makes sense.
with that student. We could help train that student. That's not a problem. We've had 6 students now taking history courses at the University of Guelph that put this Your Old Barn Study thing together for us, and we've trained them on how to do barns. I've taken them out to barns personally, and these are people who have no idea, never been in a barn in their lives, and they can figure it out.
That's fantastic. I think Laura certainly captured that. So I think when the timing's right, he will certainly be in touch. Any other questions for Hugh before we let him go? Hugh, on behalf of the township, thank you for this today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully it was valuable for your time. I certainly, from my perspective, committee, township, and our guests here, I think I saw tremendous value in the last half an hour, 40 minutes that we spent with you, and I think it makes me energized around what we can do in our municipality over the next couple of years with respect to barns.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Hugh.
Thanks, you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, back to our agenda here. So we just need a motion to receive Hugh's delegation and to note the action items that came out of that, which I think articulated. We had 3.
So I want me to see what I have, or do you have?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
I just put that we received the delegation and that, I don't know if we need to include this, I put that we have the guideline of saving barns in Ontario be sent to the committee upon completion, but I think it's getting, okay. And then I also put that barn preservation being included as a proposed item in the Heritage Advisory Committee's next term work plan. And that the architectural heritage of Puslinch Barn Index be digitized to the Your Old Barn Study by the 2026 Heritage Summer Student pending grant approval.
Any amendments to what Laura just shared?
Has that been moved?
No.
I think Cheryl had one on the table. We good with that?
I'll second.
Seconder, all in support?
Yeah.
All right, carried. Okay, awesome. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's an evolution piece for this committee after we've kind of come down the hill on the designation. I think this is important work moving forward.
I just want to comment that Cheryl and I learned what other municipalities are doing, and we saw some good examples of barn preservation and reuse when we were at the Heritage Conference in June.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No way. Okay, yeah, that's good. We can talk offline around how we maybe try to showcase some of that locally at the provincial level.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're ready to move into the closed session. Is that
Yes.
correct, Laura? Okay.
We will. We could do. We can move into close. We could do the other reports first, but I'm doing close at the end of Marion.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, so then we go to consents.
Okay, we're gonna jump around the agenda just so you guys can stick the last little bit out with us. Consent agenda. So we have the November 3rd, 2025 Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes. They were previously circulated with the meeting notes and posted. Does anybody have anything they want to pull out of that consent agenda for additional discussion at all?
That the consent agenda items listed for the December 1st committee meeting be received for information.
Okay, can we have a mover?
So moved.
Christine, seconder, Andy, all in support. All right, carried. Well, I gotta throw paper here. I'm all
Yeah,
over the place now. No, agenda item number 8, which is the committee reports. We've got report HER 2025-019, Heritage Designation and Associated Programs. And Laura, you'll give us an update on this.
Through the chair, this report is, I think it's an annual report that the committee receives, and it basically outlines where we're at with the general designation update, how many properties are currently on our register. So we've noted that we right now have 105. Last year we had 108, and then 3 properties withdrew. We have 15. Hold, no, we don't. We have 42 with designated status, and last year at this time we had 15. So we have 30-ish more with designated status. And then it also, I just included a blurb that the Heritage Blacking Program was brought to council at their last meeting with approval, so that will start up for the designated properties come 2026.
In terms of the plaquing program, I believe it is upon request from the property owner up to a maximum of 10 per year. Is that correct?
Correct.
So basically, any of those designated properties will be approached if you'd like to update your plaque with additional information, which includes some dates, any
First
historic.
homeowner.
Yeah.
First occupation,
Yep.
or the first occupation of the property owner.
So a bit more context to the property. That'll be on a first come, first served basis up to 10. And then if the 11th or 12th approach, that will just get pushed to the next fiscal year.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, sure.
I just have some comments on that. Because it says first use, and I don't think we should be restricted to the first use of the building. Some buildings weren't. Their main use or their more historic use maybe came after. So if that wording could be a little bit looser, I think it might better describe the building to a person looking at it.
Good, Bill.
Agreed.
Can you just maybe look at that
Yeah.
language and we're okay?
And once we go live with this, the way I've written the policy is that anytime we have a question, I get to ask you, all of you. So if there is any, like, we've created a master Excel sheet to try to fill in all the blanks of everything. But I'm happy to go over that, or we can look at it to make sure that it's all.
Just if the wording, I know when Lily and I worked on a mock-up plan, and then we were deciding what to put on it, that came into play.
I can make note of that.
And yeah, my only other comment, 43 properties up of 30 this past year is really significant. So well done to everybody involved. I think this is important. I think as I said offline, I think we've been one of the most active municipalities in the province in terms of designating properties. So that's encouraging to maintain our rural lifestyle here.
And I think I'd like to make a comment, especially with our guests here, that our ability to do that is the great work that others have done before us.
Absolutely.
Well said. Lily?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree that is a great achievement, and I do thank the previous members of this committee and the Historical Society. But this is a bit of a downer. How many are we looking at designating, like, currently in the process? I'm just thinking the deadline for the new Heritage Act is 2027, January 27. How many will we expect to have complete by then, or is there any way for us to try to snowball that so that we can get them done?
We have 10 to 15 currently with a peer reviewer that I'm hoping to bring to report to council in January. So that will be an extra 10 to 15, and then the 2026 part 2 batch that we're calling it, that is currently with the committee, would be brought to council June of this year. So we are making our way through it. We just, as we've noticed, as we go through them, we just have less and less information. We have less and less updated pictures of them. Not as willing property owners. So I think we're in good shape to continue to see that number grow. I don't have a definite answer of how many it will grow by, but
It's like maybe 30 going forward.
that would be great.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Opposite. Well, yeah.
30 would-
30 more to go in the works, and then probably 30 will be short of that.
I think the reality is we're not going to get a whole 105.
Yep.
But if we
Well, we
compare
said-
ourselves with other municipalities, I think we've done like a lot. So I think we try to push as many through as we can. I think the challenge we get is if we have homeowners that choose to take legal action, then it becomes a more difficult journey for us.
And I think, sorry to interrupt, we can still, even the ones that drop off the list come January 2027, we can still designate it in 2027, 2028,
Yeah.
pending they don't like submit a planning application or demolish a demolition permit. They're just not on the protected registry, as we know, but it doesn't mean that we will never be able to designate.
Okay, any other questions for Laura? Can we have
Mhm, but
motion?
that report HER 2025-019 entitled Heritage Designation and Associated Programs be received for information.
Somebody want that to make the motion? Andy, seconder. Ray, all in support? Carried, okay. 8.2 in the agenda, report HER 2025-020, 2022 through 26 goal and objectives. Laura.
Through the chair, this is again a report we see all the every committee meeting, and it just goes over our timelines for where we're at with specifically the 2026 part 2 designations, because that's our current quote unquote active goal and objective. So we have our open house tomorrow night. We've done site visits and we had drop-in hours that a few property owners came out. And then we are hoping that the edits at the committee level are done to be brought to the March 2026 committee meeting.
Thanks. Maybe just a separate call out, open house tomorrow night at 7 PM. You will be leading that discussion.
Once I get my presentation done.
Yep, for
Lots of time.
for everybody that's interested in going through the designation process, it's an informal open house. Laura will be walking everybody through the process, and then it's an informal Q&A session. So I think in the past we've had some really good attendance, we've had some later attendance, but I think it's important to
It's good job.
put it out there for any interested individuals or property owners to be a resource. So that's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock here. Right here. Okay, I will be here.
So that is just that report HER 2025-020 entitled Goals and Objectives Update be received for information.
Do we have a mover?
Yeah, I'll move that.
Christine, seconder, Andy, all in support. Carried. Do we want to do correspondence and then go to close? Do we have any
I don't
correspondence?
have any.
Okay. No correspondence. Okay. So we now need to go into closed session. We'll thank both of you for your participation. I think in my 3 years chairing this committee, this is the first time we've had any guests in the audience. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, I did say, please come if you want. You know more than me.
Regardless, thank you for
Well,
coming.
thank you for, carrying the torch.
Yes.
Yeah.
We try.
And you have the original binder with the original pictures, so.
Mhm.
So is this?
And there's a circulating copy in our
This
library.
is your copy?
That was just mine. Kind of falling apart, I used it so much.
That's,
Well, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all.
I think, yeah, that co-op student, I think will be a really good resource to be able
Yes.
to.
We had two of them in 2000, well, 98 and 99 to get
Okay.
ready for the 2000 blocking program. We had two summer students that I worked with.
Awesome.
Things to think about.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So that the Heritage Advisory Committee shall go into closed session under 239 of the Municipal Act for the purpose of a confidential report regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before the administrative tribunals affecting municipality or local courts. And that the confidential minutes from the previous closed meeting from November 3rd, 2025, closed meeting minutes. So we'll just need a mover and a seconder for that, and then I'll.
Move a mover and a seconder. Lily, Cheryl, all in support. All right, just don't Chris. Thank you. Go ahead.
The resolution coming into close is that the Heritage Advisory Committee moves into open session at 2:32 PM.
Mover and a seconder. Lily, Christine, all in support. Carried. Okay.
And the second one is that the Heritage Advisory Committee receives the confidential report regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters heard before the administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local boards, potential matters heard by the Ontario Land Tribunal, as well as the confidential minutes from the previous closed meeting dated November 3rd, 2025, and that staff proceed as directed.
We have a mover and a seconder for that. Right, Cheryl and Ray. All in support. Right, carried. Right, Laura. Just on trucking. So now we're into item number. Sorry.
We'll just have to do the report on that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, yes. So the report is HER 2025-018 titled Heritage Designation Objection. And the motion on the floor is that the report be received and that the committee affirm the recommendation for designation of 7704 Wellington Road 36.
Can we have a mover and a seconder for that? Christine and Lily, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Laura.
Now we're to announcements.
Now we're into item number 10, announcements. Does anybody have any announcements they'd like to make for the community's benefit? Okay, hearing none. Number 11, do we have any notice of motion that anybody would like for a future meeting discussion point? Hearing none. Does anybody have any new business to share? All right, hearing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
That the Heritage Advisory Committee hereby adjourns at 2:34 p.m.
All right. Thank you. Oh, seconder. Andy. All right, all in support. Done. Thank you, folks.